We are live on YouTube and Twitter. What is up, people? How's it going?
Wow.
Yeah,
We could imagine podcasting speaking like that, although sometimes
just the
I
whole
do
time.
hesitate. Yeah.
Hi, welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast. Today we are going to be talking about the NFL Combine and Sean
Well,
Desai.
not
And
really the combine.
yeah, actually not the Combine today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry guys. I mean, everyone's probably watched the What? Okay, so real quick, it's first 10 minutes. We could actually talk football. I
Mhm.
saw someone was very upset about Griff and I's
Mm.
discussion. Have you seen the comment?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Jordan Addison thing. No, I have
No,
not
no,
seen that comment.
that's what I
No.
wanted to talk about. Like,
Okay.
I thought he ran a 4.49. That's not slow.
He ran a 4.49 after he ran the 4.55.
Ah,
So yeah,
so
and
he's like, you can draft him now. Like, it's fine.
yeah. No, it's totally fine. It's
Yeah,
out of sight, out of mind.
perfect. Did
Yeah.
did Wayne run?
Don't think so yet.
Okay, there you
Um.
go.
All right. So what's the comment? What was the comment? I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, it's mean. It was really
Really
mean.
mean? Really mean?
I think they,
That's not nice.
to comment something like that, it was incredibly hurtful.
Wow.
Cool idea. Do a countdown timer before your live sessions instead of rambling about nonsense we don't care about.
You know, I, for one, know for a fact that there are a lot of people that actually greatly care about the rambling,
Well,
and
this is the thing,
this is just a part of the brand. I'm sorry, man, but this is who
Yeah.
we are,
And
and
it
we're
was
gonna stay true to ourselves.
highly intellectual stuff, Griff
Of
was
course.
educating me on European history.
Okay. Was that also the nuts episode, or was this?
Yeah, you're right. This may have been a previous episode. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I can't remember. Our 10-minute ramblings. They all
Well,
sort of ramble into one.
maybe they just have like a nut allergy, like a really severe nut allergy, and
No,
they
it
were
wasn't
just
nuts. It was European history.
okay. Well, maybe they just hate Europe.
True. Maybe they found it very patronizing that an American was telling a European about European history.
Yeah, that would be, that I mean, when you say
And
it like that, that sounds very problematic. So maybe this is just a very progressive, forward-thinking person,
right.
you
And
know.
Brexit did come up as well.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So I think Griff was just being rightfully held accountable. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, in that case, please direct all criticism to @SeamRikeSpin Move.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
we don't need that in the comments. Thanks
yeah.
for the comment though.
You don't need to drag us all down,
Boost the algorithm.
with Griff's, BS.
No, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of the BS.
Yeah. Griff is a known bull crapper.
Okay, Jaden Reed, that's who I wanted to see what he ran.
Right.
Did he not run?
I don't think so.
Hold on. Finding out live reaction. Because
Live
he
reaction.
felt to me like a bit of a, I mean, I don't know what his standout trait was, but he felt a bit Seahawky to me. And, oh dear, he still hasn't appeared. Now I'm at the stage where I don't want him to appear because that would be very slow. No, he didn't run. Fair enough.
Okay, there we go.
And
Phew.
yeah, like I was on tenterhooks there. Not many people ran.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Did Jalen Hyatt run yet?
He did. He
What did
ran a 4.41.
Wow, that's it? People were pretty stoked about what he was going to run.
Yeah, rubbish. Would never draft. Well, I actually
Definitely.
wouldn't draft because I don't think
He's
year
good.
one. I don't know what he could do really,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm wrong.
He well, like I said on a previous episode, 40-yard dash times, that's all that matters.
True.
Like I'm Mark
Yeah.
Davis, I'm Mike Mayock. I love if you can't run fast, you're not a good football player.
That is also factually correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's the sad thing as well. Like the 3-cone, which is actually like a really solid indicator of success for quite a few positions.
Yeah.
People just don't do it anymore. There's like 2-3 people out of
Yeah,
each
I've seen
position.
I've seen a lot of dudes just like completely skip out on it this year.
Bring back the 3-cone.
They saw what happened to DK
Yeah,
and
like
got
true.
scared.
Because if that hadn't happened, I mean, maybe there was some medical stuff going on there as well. But like, if
Yeah.
that, surely that was what was the case. I don't know. And small sample size, maybe. But like, he was like a pure X in build, and then he ran the 3-cone, and everyone's like, oh.
11 11.3 broad jump and 40-inch vertical for Hyatt though.
Well, there you go. I didn't say he wasn't explosive or fast. Just the translation to the NFL like immediately is kind of tough. It depends. Like if a team like I mean, who'll take him. It'll be like Kansas City, and then suddenly you're
Yeah.
like, wow, there's a pretty obvious fit there.
Yeah, then he ends up being like number 1 receiver.
So I was watching like a clip of Josh Downs, and he like just got absolutely battered by a linebacker. These guys are like tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny, tiny, tiny.
Do you like any of them other than Reed?
Parker Washington looked interesting.
Oh yeah, he can block too.
He can? Wow.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, he looked interesting, and like a nice compliment between the two. Kind of run after catch, bit of slot work maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, not opposed.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Should we do the actual podcast?
Yeah. Enough rambling, Matthew.
Well, we're curtailing the rambling. This is going to be the quickest episode, maybe. We do.
We're aiming to be quick today, but we'll see.
Yes.
We'll see if that actually, us and being on time is not really. Those two things don't really go together. But
what is it? Aim for the moon and you'll land along Mars. Isn't that it?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where Ty and I are back to recap some news. Some of it is new news, some of it's slightly older news, but we've got enough news to talk about. Ty, news.
All right. Well, Sean Desai is gone. That finally happened after weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of hearing him taking interviews and exploring options and dropping out of certain coaching vacancies and exploring other coaching vacancies, not getting those coaching vacancies. But now he is officially the new Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator, trying to help them defend their NFC title, replacing Jonathan Gannon. Matty, buckle up. Let's have some fun.
There you go. So this is an interesting one because on the face of it, the reason that Desai was available last year after being Chicago Bears defensive coordinator in 2021, or the reason that he took the job in Seattle, is that, he seemingly couldn't get a defensive coordinator position elsewhere. He was familiar with Clint Hurt. He knew the system. So maybe he viewed this as a 1-year deal and was going to be leaving anyway. We don't know that. And he did aggressively, clearly try and get a defensive coordinator spot, interviewed in a lot of places, and ended up landing in Philadelphia. So he's been credited by various players as being influential and a great teacher. Okay, the Seahawks secondary was most impressive at corner, where I believe Kyle Scott, the cornerbacks coach, had most of the influence. But, Desai did work with the safeties, and we didn't get to see what Jamal Adams could do last year after that impressive pressure where he ended up injuring himself for the whole season, which is tragic. Diggs was fine. He was Quandre Diggs, and Ryan Neal came in and played pretty okay. So
Pro Ryan Neal.
There you go. Pretty
There you
okay,
go.
all pro.
There you go.
And PFF crazy high grade, which, maybe those two are linked. Conspiracy. Anyway, so Desai clearly had a unique role in Seattle, and Pete Carroll said at the combine that Seattle could get creative to fill that spot. Now, what that means, we're not so sure. We'll talk about a later appointment. But like the thing with Desai is, if you look at his time with the Bears, they ran this 2-4-5 nickel over G front, so 3 tech to the tight end, a 2-eye nose tackle away, with 2 high looks all the time. And what did Seattle do after 2021, where they didn't even show that kind of front that often? They basically ran the 2-4-5 over G, same front, all well, for the majority of snaps, which, the common theme is Desai has come, and so we're going to be doing this. And it worked in like 11 personnel zone run situations, but against 11 personnel gap runs, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers used in their tendency changing game in Munich. More than that, in games like, teams who weren't using 11 personnel zone runs, teams using heavier personnel, Seattle still, in certain games, had a tendency to just stick in this 2-4-5, whatever. They didn't even move in it, really. They occasionally did. They didn't fire zone. They just sat in this front, which was very Desai-esque from 2021 Bears. Remember when Rashad Penny ran all over the Bears? That was a thing. So Desai leaving, maybe, he wanted just to go for another defense coordinator job. Perhaps Seattle has picked a different direction or sort of a different emphasis on defense this year. Maybe Pete Carroll had enough. That's all conjecture. I think there's an element of it being, a slight disagreement of the direction that they should go. The reason Seattle do the 2-4-5 is by playing heavy defensive tackles on the interior as a heavy 3 technique and a 2-eye, they are sort of gap and a halving. If you're showing a 2 high safety shell, even if you're spinning down to 1 high, if they're both 2 high, you sort of need to buy time for that. And also it enables both edge players, which are outside linebackers in Seattle's system, they can play wide, kind of 9 technique, super wide. So there's method to the madness. It's just doing it all the time when they didn't really have the players to do it and it didn't fit their talent was a kind of a disaster. And even then, doing it all the time is slightly arrogant, I'd suggest. Right. So, yeah, Desai's gone, and how much that was him just wanting to leave versus sort of maybe a mutual agreement, we'll never know, because that's not how things work. But you can read in between the lines there of some things which are definitely relevant.
Right. Well, and we talked about the the possibility of having too many cooks and the dangers of that, and
yeah, we saw this coming, didn't we? We saw this coming like before
we were talking about this. Yeah, we were talking about this pretty much during the last few weeks of the season, right? Yep. Good job. So yeah, hopefully this opens the door for a more focus, streamlined, kind of aligned thinking within the Seahawks defensive coaching staff, where there doesn't seem to be as much apparent push and pull between certain folks within the coaching staff. So we'll see. The interesting thing, and we're gonna obviously get into the other the coaching hire that the Seahawks made today, but so far on both sides of the ball, they've been hiring from the outside. They haven't been promoting from within. So that's kind of interesting to see how maybe those voices impact things as well. But yeah, so overall, and again, that kind of ties into Pete's comment about getting creative in terms of essentially filling Desai's opening now. So that's yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this how they address the rest of the coaching staff and just kind of fill out the rest of this group. But
yeah, let's talk about that then. So Brandon Jordan was hired today per Jordan Schultz. Schultz's report listed Brandon Jordan as their new pass rush specialist. He most recently had the same role at Michigan State. Jordan, he works with loads of NFL guys, though. It's pretty cool. Like he was, I read an Athletic article. I should get the name of the author, but essentially he was coaching non-Power 5. I think Austin Peavy, Austin PA.
Yeah, I think it's Austin P. Actually,
P, just P, straight up P.
Yeah, I think it's P. Yeah.
A small school, and then was out of work after for 2 years. managed to land, just coaching up guys how to pass rush and really developed ways to coach them and various drills and methods and sort of broke it down into stages. And then that attracts attention, lands at Michigan State, has been there for the past 2 years under Mel Tucker, who incidentally runs a kind of a Nick Saban tree defense. But it's clear at Michigan State he had just a pass rush specialist role. I think he believed, they were running technically like a 4 down front, but he was working kind of more of the edges and the kind of edge rush guys where the defensive line coach working the D tackles. But Brandon Jordan, he also just works with so many NFL guys. Like he had a tweet where in January last year where he says he's trained 195 NFL players. I think that number's only rising. Like there's videos of him working with Max Crosby from February and videos of him working with like all kinds of brilliant players from all levels, even
and it's not just pass rushers either. Like he worked with DK. That's one of the guys listed on that graphic that he posted. He's worked with quite a few Seahawks players in the past, including Puda Ford. So yeah, you listen to you hear some of the names that he's kind of coached or just at least worked with. Von Miller, Cam Hayward, some pretty impressive names on there. So this guy's resume is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and so immediately my mind when I saw that bit pass rush specialist, Aaron Curry left. Obviously, he was technically listed as defensive assistant, but he most recently in 2022 with Seattle being a 3-4 in name as well as nature, was coaching the outside linebackers, that edge rush group. And I immediately thought, oh, well, not knowing much about Brandon Jordan, Brandon Jordan is going to come in and be the outside linebackers coach.
Right.
With Schultz describing him as a pass rush specialist and with Jordan's business coaching other guys in the league as well, it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. I don't think he's like associate head coach material. He's not. I mean, maybe he is. I could be wrong. I don't think he is that, and I think Schultz would have reported it as that. But maybe he is that kind of creative defensive assistant. Maybe Seattle gets another one in to replace Desai. But to me, it seemed more obvious as a Curry replacement before I learned that, Schultz has got a business coaching up all kinds of NFL and college prospects.
And given the respect that he clearly has from a lot of folks around the league, maybe this is a decent boon for the Seahawks heading into free agency in terms of attracting players, particularly pass rushers, if they're looking to bolster that group. So
yeah, and he's worked with like one of the videos I saw is him working with Will Anderson Jr. So there's definitely yeah, why not ask for a bit of insight from him if you're in the front office as well, getting ready to pick at number 5 overall. And even, throughout the draft, he's worked with Foskey as well out of Notre Dame. So really interesting exercise. Clearly looks like on paper, like absolute knock out the park, brilliant hire. And, Michigan State were letting him use their facility to coach guys. So he clearly had a good arrangement there. And, it'd be interesting to see what the exact role is in Seattle and whether he's still continues what he's doing. I'm sure he will, but yeah, brilliant. And like you think about Darrell Taylor and his sort of struggles with inconsistency. Now, most of his issues were setting the edge against the run, but he definitely has the talent to be, as Clint Hurt said, as good as he wants to be, as I said as well. And that includes as a pass rusher. There's stuff like, okay, it's great that you can get off the football really fast and dip under an edge, but, hang on a sec. What's your second move? Does Darrell Taylor have a second move yet? Probably not really. Maybe, how can you make your first move more reliable? Well, a pass rush specialist would be definitely the answer. And Aaron Curry leaving to be the inside linebackers coach in Pittsburgh, it's just good to have a new voice, I think, for Darrell Taylor, and they've got a young group as well, behind like Uchenna Nwosu. There's kind of nothing, so that, and they'll be adding more young picks too. So
Boye Mafe is another guy as well.
Yes.
So no, it's a really interesting get for them, especially when they haven't necessarily had a role, at least with this name, right? Like I don't like even before Aaron Curry, I don't remember them ever having a pass rush specialist on their staff. So that's interesting too.
That's pretty badass. I wish I was a pass rush specialist.
You can be a kick step
Yeah,
specialist.
true.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Austin Blythe.
Yes.
He announced on his Instagram a few days ago, what was it, Wednesday, I think, when we were initially supposed to do the show. He announced his retirement from the NFL at the age of 30. Kind of a little bit of a surprise. Seemed like the Seahawks were pleased with what he did this past season, and that there would be some interest there in retaining him. But yeah, no, he's done. So he's hanging it up after a pretty decent year with the Seahawks, and so now that means the Seahawks, of course, with I believe only Kyle Fuller on their roster right now in terms of someone that can fairly play center. Um, they're going to need to go out and get a center, either via free agency or in the draft. So that's pretty interesting. And we heard today that they met with the center from Minnesota. I always forget his name. John Michael Schmitz. Yeah, it's Schmitz, not Schwartz. Yeah, Schmitz. Yeah. So so that's one indication of maybe where they're leaning. But yeah, what do you think about Blythe retiring and the Seahawks ultimately having to replace him here?
Well, at 30, early retirements are slightly more common than they used to be, but still 30, and after 7 seasons where, he was playing good football, solid football. Yeah, did he have his weaknesses? Yeah, sure, but he was playing solid football. You'd presume Seattle would be interested in re-signing him. I think I read something about Pete Carroll trying to get him not to retire. Like there was some late night, don't retire. But maybe I dreamt that. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a major deal because you need a center. Replacement wise, yeah, as you said, Phil Haynes could do it in a pinch, and
Right. Yeah.
maybe Lewis could kind of as well. But Blythe doing this, it means Seattle in free agency will sign someone because they don't enter a draft with a hole in their roster. It's a big principle of theirs. So now they'll be scouring the free agent centers, and I don't think it's the best market. I know a certain Ethan Posick is returning, and that would be funny. Like he had a good season. He finished his last year in Seattle good, but that might be a bit pricey now. He's had back-to-back years of.
I would love to see Seahawks Twitter's reaction to that.
Yeah, well, it would have been even better if you see Justin Britt. He's actually retiring.
He retired too. Yeah.
Yeah, but imagine if they'd gone back for Justin Britt. There you go. So yeah, centers are a big need, and I don't think they were anticipating this was going to happen. Really, they would probably thought they'd re-sign Blythe, but now they sort of got to scour a bit more.
Yeah. So there's the whole question of, I mean, like if you want Schmitz, you're probably going to have to draft him with one of your first 4 picks. So the whole discussion about that, the value of centers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure we'll get into that a bit more on a future show. But yeah, free agent market's not great for center. So I kind of feel like this is probably gonna wind up with them drafting a center at some point. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be Schmitz. Maybe it's someone on day 3 or something like that. But yeah, and I don't know. The center is a weird position too in terms of money and how contracts have kind of inflated at that position as of late. So, we'll see if it just especially given the lack of overall talent involved in the group this year, if guys just get paid outrageous money, and so it probably makes more sense for the Seahawks at this point to get someone on a cheaper deal. But
yeah, and another day 2 name from the draft is Steve Avila from TCU, who's kind of a left guard, but he's played center as well. And there's a few interesting sort of day 2 names, and I wasn't planning to really dive in, but now probably have to hurry that process up a bit. Lucky I'm not the one in charge of making that decision.
Yeah.
So that is a bit of a bummer. The good news, though, Ty, is after the 2020 season, where Austin Blythe left the Rams in the following season won the Super Bowl. And after the 2021 season, where Blythe left the Chiefs, beat out by a certain Creed Humphrey.
Mm.
The then 2022 Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
Mm.
So Blythe, let me get this straight. Blythe is leaving the Seahawks after 2022 season. So the 2023 Seahawks are Super Bowl champions. That just
There
seems
we
like
go.
there's a clear pattern.
Confirmed.
That is how it works.
You heard us, folks. Get to your favorite sports book.
Yeah.
Push it all in.
Gamble responsibly.
Yes, of course. This is also hashtag not betting advice. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very good at betting. Are you good at betting?
No. I'm going to Vegas this month too. I'm not going to bet at all.
Well,
Gonna avoid that like the plague.
Well, maybe like you could bet, but then you don't tell anyone because you know what they say about Vegas.
No, I don't know what they say about Vegas, Matty. What do they say about Vegas?
I believe it's what happens in Vegas. I think you don't tell anyone. I think
The draft starts in Vegas.
Oh, well, look at the hat I'm wearing. We need to make amends.
Right. Yeah.
One of our podcasters has clearly ruffled a few feathers.
A certain someone that is not present today.
Yes, and
but
so
is a part of the
they're
Seattle
unable
Overload
to
brand.
answer for themselves, but also
yeah.
despicable.
Someone got a little risky on Twitter, apparently.
Yeah.
So you know what I would bet on though, Matty?
Oh,
going back to betting, Aaron Donkor getting actual snaps in the XFL with his new team, the Roughnecks.
The Houston Roughnecks.
There we go. That's the one. I'm a big XFL guy, if you couldn't tell.
Massive. What does it stand for?
Yeah.
Extra Football League.
Well, it used to be the Extreme Football League. I don't know if it's still that.
Oh, you're right. That was stupid. It's just Extreme doesn't begin with an E, so you see how I was confused. I see what they've done there, though. That's very clever wordplay.
Right. Yeah. Extra. I mean, extra also starts with an E, Matty. So you were also trying to dabble in some clever wordplay.
Guilty. But yeah, good for Donkor. Now, it was tragic at when I was in Munich. So the players come off the practice field. There's all these plans for Donkor to play, and then that weird technicality comes up that he can't play because of how he'd been activated off a practice squad or something. And it's obvious that he'd just they'd flown all the way to Germany and they'd just found out. So he was happy to be in Germany, but he just looked distraught. And then he had to go up on the podium and talk about what's it like being German? And he was just yeah,
that's really sad.
I don't want to be here. And I think Pete Carroll genuinely thought about just playing him anyway, or it was cool. He ran out of the flag, but he obviously wasn't up to speed with the NFL. He'd been on the practice squad for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And he just clearly didn't quite have it. I mean, I'm surprised that it was that bad. It must have been not to beat up on the guy, but it must have been bad. I don't know how.
Yeah.
You don't get snapped.
Well, yeah, and another thing too is you're not outside of the preseason, outside of a couple of quarters, really, you're not getting actual game action. So for 2 straight years after playing, pretty much Division II college football, or even worse than that, right? Because he was at that New Mexico Military Institute for 2 years or 3 years or something like that before he ended up going to Arkansas State. So he hasn't been, getting a lot of, premier action, right? And so that kind of brings up the discussion about the XFL in general that, I think, both sides, both the NFL and the XFL can really help each other here because you essentially, if they can come to an agreement in terms of making the XFL essentially a developmental league, right? And essentially having teams loan players to the XFL for developmental purposes. because then you boost the quality in competition ultimately, and these guys actually get to play real game snaps instead of just practicing. So hopefully for Donkor, and I mean like you said, it must have been not great for him to not even get a single shot at the NFL level, but maybe this is just a matter of him needing actual game reps, and now that he'll get those, maybe he'll actually get the attention of an NFL team eventually and get another opportunity at it. So we'll see.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, he will have got better on Seattle's practice squad, and this experience will have done him a world of good.
Mm,
But you don't really get better at football, especially at this stage, without playing, and you do need to play. And in the NFL, they're not really there to develop players up in a from like the Donkor's level to like being an NFL player. They're there to really like
yeah,
kind of fine tune and hone. So an XFL environment where he plays at
yeah.
least and learns from that, that would be
Yeah,
much
if they we've been talking about this on my Patreon show. Colby and I
Oh,
have,
plug it.
yeah, patreon.com/control the zone. $3 a month gets you access to all of our Wednesday shows.
Wow.
So we've been talking about that on our Patreon show, that like that they need to find a way to make the XFL essentially like the G League. Like the NFL could use a G League. Like, maybe not, like a minor league team for all 32 teams, but maybe like 10 teams that, and, you know, each team has like an assigned number of slots that they can use for developmental guys. Uh, I think that would do, a world of good for some of these guys, especially guys that are like Donkor that just are so raw. Like they have a lot of potential, like but they're just so raw, and they're unable to get into game action because of that. Like it's just they're gonna end up being a liability. So you kind of have to balance that if you're a team like the Seahawks. Like, yeah, I need to get this guy game reps, but he's just so raw that it's likely going to hurt me if I actually play him. So like it's kind of a catch-22 in that situation. So
Yeah, the G League is the exact kind of scenario because, like,
yeah.
there's football in Europe, but Donkor would absolutely dominate. There's a reason he's in this country, and he's still
Yeah.
young enough to, you know, develop, and he's probably better than like most like the German league, which is like one of the best ones in Europe. Or
Mhm.
so, yeah. Hopefully that works out for him. Hopefully we hear from him, see him making some cool plays in the XFL. Okay, Ty, did you see this NFL Players Association report card thing? Have you
I
seen
did.
it?
Well,
The
I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen like the ones that are really bad, and then I've seen the
Yeah,
Seahawks one.
that's kind of how it went.
Yeah.
So March the 1st, or it may have been February 28th, the NFL Players Association released report cards for all 32 teams, grading them in a variety of categories with the intention of aiding players' decisions ahead of free agency. So,
Mhm.
what franchise do you not want to go to because it's crap?
Mhm.
So the Seahawks, they got graded.
Mhm.
Breakdown of the key categories. So treatment of families, B plus, tied fifth. Food service, nutrition, B plus, tied
Mm.
eighth.
Nice.
Weight room, A minus, tied ninth.
Nice.
Strength coaches, A minus, tied 17th. Training room, B minus, tied 12th. Training staff, B plus, tied 22nd. Locker room, A minus, tied 8th. Team travel, C, tied
Yeah.
21st. So
Yeah.
overall, Seattle placed 11th. That was 4 spots behind NFC West leader, the 49ers, who were 7th in the league. I mean, 11th is fine. And really, what gets Seattle down there, particularly, is
Geography.
yeah, like, I don't know how travel you can do much better in that. Like,
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised they didn't get enough.
yeah, well, the big thing here is like maybe if they had a wealthier owner, there wouldn't be as much of an issue. I mean, money does solve a lot of things. So, for
Right.
instance, they need to improve on making travel more comfortable for players. That one of only 7 teams that do not offer players first class flights.
Mm.
The only exception is
Oh,
after
yeah.
road victories.
Right,
So
yeah. Yeah.
that I mean, not flying first class is somewhat surprising, but like they have like charter planes, right?
Yeah. But I guess
So
they're just all kind of crammed in, like,
they're all crammed, yeah.
coached. Yeah.
But anyway, so 93% of players believe that Seahawks ownership is willing to invest money in upgrading the facilities.
Mm,
There's also a desire to have more staff support player training and recovery
okay.
on top of the travel thing. So they did fine, like
Mhm,
above average. Maybe it could be slightly better. Obviously, the death of Paul Allen, not to turn attention on Jody Allen, but like there's a transition between those two things. And not
mhm,
we don't know what I mean. They've only spoke positively about Jody Allen that is in peak Howell and John Schneider. So
mhm,
and the shadow of Jeff Bezos with the rumors of the team that lurks, especially with like the Commanders coming up for sale and Bezos being obviously Seattle based. So
mhm.
maybe that one day would happen. Would Jeff Bezos not have first team not have first class flights? Probably not. But then
Jeff Bezos,
he has
buy
a
the
big
Mariners
checkbook.
instead.
He is quite rich. He should buy
Yeah,
the Mariners instead.
buy the
Why
Mariners
hasn't
instead.
he?
So we can run, like, an actual, like, $350 million payroll like the Mets. Let's do that.
That would be hilarious. And I'm at, like, I don't know, with baseball, that would almost be more fun. There'd be like loads of mistakes and like
Uh,
I mean, I don't know Jeff. Me and Jeffrey went on.
mhm.
I mean, I pay him like a few dollars a month. Like,
Right, right.
you get the prime in.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Gotta get that Prime Video.
you got to. You just
Yeah.
have to. They told me to, so I
Gotta
did.
pay for
So.
that Thursday night Prime Vision.
Exactly right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even get
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Al
Yeah.
Michaels needs to get paid. Oh.
Al does need to get paid, but the best stuff was the teams who got the Fs.
Mm.
So some teams failed.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
The Cardinals came 31st out of 32 NFL teams.
Oh, I thought they finished 32nd. Who finished behind them?
You know who?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Commanders.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, yeah.
So Arizona's grades F, F, F minus, F minus. Strength coach is higher than the Seahawks. They got an A.
Wow.
Training room F minus. Training staff B plus. Team travel B plus. So higher than the Seahawks for the travel.
Mm, mm.
But this is the best bit. If players would like dinner, it will be boxed up for them. But players reported to the team. But players reported that the team will charge you via a payroll deduction. So they charge you if you want food boxed up.
Oh my god.
Players reported that if you work out at the facility after the season's over, the team charges you for every meal eaten at the facility. And again, they're the only team which does that.
Yeah. That sounds like something they would do. That sounds like a very Cardinals thing.
Michael Bidwell.
Common Cardinals L.
Yeah, just abysmal. I mean, because like the perception of Bidwell is that he's cheap, right?
Yeah.
But like this kind of
This
proves
is
that it's
yeah, this
correct
is
perception.
yeah. This is absolutely that.
Oh dear.
It's kind of funny too, because didn't he just like eat a ton of money for Kingsbury?
Yeah, sent him off to Thailand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Cliff said he was going to Thailand, and then I swear he did he interview for the Patriots job? Oh no, he interviewed somewhere. And
He
it,
interviewed,
I
I
don't
think it
know.
was out of college. I think it was out
Yeah,
of college that he interviewed.
must have
Forget
must have
who.
been like via Zoom. Like
Yeah. From
that's
Thailand.
quite a time difference.
On that Taiwanese Wi-Fi.
Well, I'm sure Taiwan has good Wi-Fi, but he was in Thailand, so
Oh yeah, he was in Thailand, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Right. So and then the Commanders are just abysmal. But it was nice that Seattle, I guess, in this there was nothing like egregious.
Mm,
There was nothing that was like this is not how like it's the NFL. How is this a thing?
mhm.
But yeah, pretty funny
Yeah,
stuff.
that's rough.
Well, and second place in the NFC West, not the worst thing in the world. I think the travel thing just gets them down, and I don't really
Mm.
know. Like that would be a lot of money to keep flying first class around the world. And also, just I think, would it be such an issue if you weren't flying so far every time? No. So,
yeah.
If you're East Coast, it would be. There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Well, Ty, I think that's us done.
Pretty
People
quick.
watching, please like the video, comment, subscribe,
Like the
download
video.
the podcast.
Thumbs up. None of you commented today.
Pardon?
Comments were empty today.
Well, Al did comment before.
Yeah.
But maybe people are afraid after what happened before that,
Right.
Yeah.
Let's look at the likes.
There you go.
Six likes, but we have 16 people watching. So like the video. Please. Do it.
And we'll be back tomorrow with a full combine recap. We're not burying our heads in the sand. We are aware the combine's on. I've literally got it over on this monitor.
Right.
And yeah, we'll pick out some standouts. Don't forget, we did a combine podcast the other day on the most important stuff: the defense, the interior, exterior defensive lines, the linebackers as well. Some of these corners have me excited, Ty. So we'll have to talk about that tomorrow.
Joey Porter, 34-inch arms.
That's your guy.
It's very long arms.
No, you're right.
Very long arms.
Good scouting.
Yeah, very long arms. Yeah.
I actually saw the arm length of Julius Brents and was like,
oh yeah,
oh my god. Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson jumped 40.5 inches on the vertical jump.
Number 1 pick.
Yep.
Texans.
There you go.
Texans.
Yeah. That's great. You're athletic and you have some of the most exciting college football tape. You are now doomed. Sorry, mate. No, you don't get to sit behind Alex Smith and be with Andy Reid. No. You are literally the hopes of a franchise. You're done. Right.
Enjoy playing for Matt Eberflus. Justin Fields gets traded to the Seahawks. You heard it here first.
Justin.
This just in. This show is over.
Yeah, this show is over. Very over.